Good morning, everyone. We're continuing here in NIDCHEI YISRAEL of the Horowitz. Remember that we're in a pasuk in a verse and a mashal, a parable over here about a person that is deathly ill. And the verse tells us, as the Horowitz explains, that when you find a person that is what's called a goises, critically ill, so at first, the way in which you begin to heal the person is you begin to try to go back in time into how it is that he originally got sick, and then from there a little bit more, and a little bit more, and a little bit more. Although that it would seem that if the person is critically ill, just attack the critical illness that he has right now to get him better. But the Horowitz says it doesn't work like that, because the person didn't become a goises, critically ill all at once. Obviously, there's many, many layers of things that led up to his sickness, and therefore we have to heal piece by piece in order to get them to the place where we can finally go into the original, initial areas of the sickness and remove it altogether. Now, says the Horowitz, this brings us to our topic. This verse is a mashal, a parable to the Jewish people. When we are dealing with shepherds, with leaders that are not proper, and they're not the ones that should really be leading the Jewish people. They're not really concerned with the takonas hatzayin, with fixing their herds and their flocks to make sure that things are going well. First, I'm going to explain the mashal, the parable, and then afterwards, the message of the mashal, meaning that lesson that we're supposed to take out, will be understood by itself. He says, the way of sheep in a herd is that when they are weak in their koiches, in their strength, so that means that when the shepherd is not taking care of it, after a certain amount of time, or many days of running around with the rest of the flock, if it's weak, it's going to get sick. And if the shepherd doesn't heal it at that point, it continues walking around with the rest of the flock, when it's sick, it's very likely that it will end up breaking its leg. And if the shepherd does not tend to the broken leg, so then it has no choice but to be cast off from the rest of the flock. And it will just remain on the road all by itself. And if the shepherd still does not pay attention to the sheep, over time, the sheep will be lost forever. There's nothing that you'll be able to do. However, if a faithful shepherd will come afterwards, to watch over the sheep, he's going to start looking, where's the lost sheep? Where is he? Let's return it to its corral, to its flock with the rest of them. When he finds that it has a broken leg, he is going to begin to bandage it and to fix it up so that it should not remain a balismum, blemished. And then he can begin to heal it from the initial sickness, its weakness, how it was in the beginning, and so too it will heal it from its weakness and from the sickness as well. Says the Horowitz, this is the mashal that I'm presenting in front of you. Keep this in mind, and we're going to see the nimshal, we'll see the lesson tomorrow. You have a sheep who is weak. That's what they were speaking about over here. You have a sheep, as the Horowitz begins to say over here, that is getting weak, and it's not taken care of. And as a result of that, it becomes sick. And after it becomes sick, it begins to stray. And when it strays, what ends up happening? It ends up breaking a leg. And as it breaks the leg, if it doesn't get taken care of at that point, this sheep is going to be all lost by itself. And it's going to end up getting lost completely. And now a roya neman, a faithful shepherd, finds it. what does he do? He doesn't go back to the original weakness or the sickness that the animal had. He has to deal with what's in front of him. In front of him is a lost sheep, so he has to pick him up. In front of him is a sheep with a broken leg. He has to fix the broken leg. Then he has to begin to examine what's the sickness. Then he can begin to heal the sickness. Then he restores his strength. And then he returns him to the flock. And that is where we're holding. And that's going to bring us to the mashal. That's going to bring us to this parable and this lesson of what Klal Yisrael's position is and their state of being in the Golus and the exile when they're so far away, like the sheep with the broken leg that is far from the flock, and how the Roye Ne'eman, the faithful shepherds of Klal Yisrael, are going to help to restore our condition, our health, our strength, and our unity together with Klal Yisrael. Have a wonderful day.